This is Ben. More than telling stories, he enjoys listening to them. That's why, from time to time, he sits down in front of the camera and chats with our customers. Today, he had an exciting conversation with Danielle Sullivan from Student Life.
What were some of the best parts of using Sign Now? Like what are some workflows that you had been doing maybe with paper or just manually that Sign Now replaced and hopefully saved you time on?
Yeah, I mean, just everything coming in. One, it was legible. We were able to read what people were writing on those forms. And then just being able to get those by email, easily store them on our computer. They got a copy of their form as well. So it was just kind of a system that worked. Mm-hmm. We only got about 1,000 of those, as opposed to when we moved to waivers where all participants are filling one out, and that number moves more to like 27,000, 30,000 for just my brand. That's when we bumped up to AirSlate.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of the, right off the bat, like what are some of the problems that AirSlate is solving now?
Tons of things. The ability to quickly find a form if there is an injury on campus. We're able to find that and get it to all the different departments that need it. The hospital, the group leader, the staff on site at a location, our legal team, my leadership team, my managers, so on and so forth. So that's just a huge thing. I can do all of that with one email rather than having to dig through a bunch of paper forms, find the right one, and then scan it or save it as an individual form.
Maybe even just walk me through your ideal or your most common AirSlate workflow that you use.
Kaylin showed us how to kind of put together an intro page. So this was the reg ID. Mm-hmm. That was in just view. And so these fields would populate if they entered anything here. And if not, they could just continue on to the form and fill out everything manually.
Okay.
If they knew it. And we try not to make a whole lot of things required, but they could choose a camp location, date, and all of that. So we didn't really use this workflow section because it was just live on our website. Right. But we used a decent number of bots, I guess. We used the pre-fill, like I mentioned, putting in the 5-digit code to populate the church's information. Right. Changing a slate name, discovering that bot was game changer. Then we changed the name of the document. So when it saved to Google Drive, we had both the church name and then the person's name that filled out the form together. And then we exported all the data to Google Sheets so we could see it in list form. And that's really what we used mostly to check off as people came through and arrived on day one of camp. We just checked off that everyone had filled out their forms. Cool. Of course, send a copy of the email to whoever filled out the form, as well as the group leader and us. So this is the form, of course, saying that they'll fill it out. And then this is step one. I just created a fake reg ID for us. And so it had the group leader, church name, city, state. We just want people to confirm they had the right information there. And then it pops it onto the actual form, which was amazing. This was my favorite part about AirSlate. So thank you for this part. When it exported all of the information, we were able to use formulas in Google to filter it by camp location. So these little tabs down here are different camp locations. So whichever staff was at, this is Yale, Lake Yale, they could go in here and just see the people coming to their camp. So while we used one form for all 60 camps, we were able to kind of filter it and make it feel smaller for our staff, so they weren't looking at every single form.
Yep. I guess if you had to say narrow it down to one thing, what makes you the happiest about working with Sign Now and AirSlate?
It was always just impressive. Whenever I had a big issue, hey, we don't know why, but our folders are duplicating. We got an immediate response from Kaylin or someone else on the team that knew how to fix it, or, oh, we found a bug, we're working on it. And so it never felt like my email was being ignored or our issue was being ignored. It was pressed. And
Kaylin's pretty good. You're lucky that you have her.
We had a few churches that reached out too. So, and asked about the system. So I don't know if any of them will implement it, but it just feels good to be, we're a fairly large organization, and to say I'm confident in this service that we put out there for you to use, and confident enough that you want to implement it in your church too.
What would you tell somebody who's considering using e-signature for their organization or their church or their business? And then also, what would you tell somebody who's considering using something like AirSlate?
For someone considering using something like AirSlate, like I said, I've already recommended it to other churches out there and a couple organizations. It's just, y'all have just been fabulous to work with throughout every step of the way, because I'm not an IT person. So figuring this out did not come naturally, and very thankful for the coaching I got along the way. But as far as the security of it, again, that's not my area of expertise, but we had our security software people look at some top secret form or something, and they gave the approval. So I have that confidence that it's got what it needs to keep people's information private and secure. And